restart your kernel after the downloadation of this. What you have to do, simply on a Google you have to search MySQL connector Python PyPy. PyPy is this website. On this website it is going to show you which command you have to write down. So I have to write down this command, where in my Python cell I have to first of all download this package. After downloadation of that package I have to import that library, right? And now we have to import this library. Okay, we have to now import this library. Now we know how to import this library. Simple. Now, first of all, what we have to write down, import mysql dot connector. As you can write down anything here, whichever we do in a numpy pandas. So as of now I'm importing this with the connection. Okay, as a connection. Now import this. Imported. Now whatever we will write down regarding to this SQL connector, that will with the conn, whichever we use in a pandas as pd, right? Now we have successfully imported this module. Everyone installed this model, tell me. Okay, no issue. If you are facing any issue, you can write down one sign here. After that sign, you will, which type of error? Look at here. After the this one is downloaded, this, so just restart your kernel. नाही नेट लागतं असं कसं नाही नेट लागत because this is the library on online mode, so we are downloading that first of all library. Just do it fast. Okay, now look at here. As of now, we are working on our local machine. Local machine means this is our personal laptop, and here we have installed our MySQL, right? But inside the servers, I have told you that you are going to mainly work on the servers. Okay. Now, which types of servers? AWS servers, cloud, different types of clouds. That means you are in a platform of a, you are at that platform of a cloud. Okay. Now, this machine, inside this machine, you are again going to install your MySQL, whatever you want, right? Because you are mainly going to work at this location, right? So this location will be having different ID, otherwise it having IP address. Okay, it will be having different IP address, and this is your local. This is your local computer, so it is also known as local host. Okay, this is your local host, but this will be having your whatever your URL and your password. Okay, but your local host also having your local host and your password. We have already generated the password, right? Similarly, like that way, whenever tomorrow you are going to work on any project, so there will be your, first of all, your cloud server, and there will be that location of that cloud. Okay, now after this, what we have to do, we have to do the connection. We have to generate the connection of MySQL with this Python. Okay, how can we generate this connection? So first of all, we will write down that connector dot connect. Okay, connector dot connect. Now this CONN is our library, SQL library. So we are going to connect with which, we have to connect this with our whatever our location. We have to tell him that where is my SQL based on. My SQL is now based on my local computer, right? I have installed SQL in my local computer as of now. So I will write down everything regarding to this my SQL. Now, how can I write down this my SQL ID and password? So first of all, I have to write down my host. Who is my host? Now, currently my host is localhost because it is currently installed in my current local system, right? That's why it will be known as a local host. What if you are going to work on that server? You will get that server URL, otherwise your IP address, right? Yeah, port. You can say that port. Now, localhost is completed. After this, you have to write down user. Okay. Now let me check what is user. Now my user is root. My user is root. So I will write down root. And after this, I have to write down my password. Password. So password PASSWD. This is the command for write down password. Now you have to write down that password, whichever you have created for your MySQL. Okay. I will write down my password. So don't worry, you will not able to fetch my data because you don't have my local host. Okay. So now I have written my password here. Now I will generate my connection. Okay. Now this is my right password. If I am writing my right password, it will not face any issue. If you will write down any wrong password, at that time you will get some error if I will write down anything here. Now it is showing that access denied for user root using password. Okay, so write a proper password whichever you have created. Remember that you have to open your MySQL. Generated? Everyone? Okay, good. Now, what I have to do? Now I am going to store all this connection in one variable, because again and again I am not going to write down all this code. Okay, so I will be write down code for this as a my database. Okay, my db. My db is equal to nothing but this connection. So if I will check my db, it will be my connection. Okay, now after this I have to show you one thing, that is your cursor. Okay, now remember that whenever you are learning the file handling, at that time we are doing the seek of our cursor, seek to 0, right? Similar like that way also we have to create our cursor here. Okay, now how can we create our cursor? So for creating cursor, we will simply write down that mydb dot cursor. Okay, mydb dot cursor. Now this is my cursor. Okay, so I will store this also in one variable if I have to create my cursor. Okay, I have to fetch my cursor, so I will write down that cursor. Cursor is equal to nothing but mydb dot cursor. Okay, now cursor, if I will only write down cursor, so I will reset my cursor here, mydb dot cursor. Okay, now after this open your this sql and open your data. What? Jupyter? Okay, I have to show the code of cursor. Okay. Completed? Okay. Now after this, what you have to do? Open your MySQL workbench. Now here, look at here. This is your cursor, which is flipping here, right? So like that way, we have to fetch this cursor. Okay. So if we have to write down any query, that query we are going to write down with the help of this cursor. Okay. Now, before this, again, I have to explain that now we will consider one scenario for our data. Okay. Now, let us imagine that we are at data council. Okay. We are at data council. Okay. Now, this is our database name. This is our database name, but inside the data council, you are students, right? You are the students, and we are the employees, right? So inside the database of a data council, there will be different types of data available, right? If this is the data of students, so it will be having the these types of rows and columns, right? Similarly, like that way, our employees data will be having the different types of rows and columns, right? So this is known as tables. Tables in your database. What is your database name? And what is your table name? Understood? Okay, great. Now we are at this our MySQL workbench. Look at here. I am going to write down query here. Also, same query I am going to write down in my Python. But I just want to showcase that how we can write down queries in our MySQL workbench. Okay. Simply, I have to check that which types of databases currently now available here in my SQL workbench. So that I have to write down query that show databases. Okay. Now I will simply execute this. Okay. Now these are the available databases. Now data council 1, information schema, MySQL, performance schema, SYS. So these types of databases currently as of now available inside my SQL workbench, right? Now similarly, I will write down this same query inside my Python. Now, how can we write down all this query inside in our Python? So I will simply write down that cursor dot execute. Now inside the execute, remember that you have to write down whatever query you have to write down that in a quotes. That in a quotes. Now inside the quotes, I will write down simply query show databases. Okay. Now cursor dot execute show databases. Execute this. Now I am not getting any output here because this is Python. So if we have to check what is the output of this, so we will write down one query that cursor dot fetch all. Fetch all means show me now what is the output. Now These are the same outputs which are we are getting here inside in our MySQL workbench. So same outputs we are getting here, right? You will be not having this council one because this is my database. Okay, so fetch first of all till here. First of all, write this query, and you can write down the description of this query that to check the databases, available databases. And remember that all this procedure will be done by your database administrator, otherwise data engineer. But you are learning the course of a full stack data scientist. That's why you are also learning all these things. And mainly in any worst scenario, you are going to work on this area, right? Completed. Completed. Okay, now again you have to fetch your cursor. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to first of all create one database. So we have to first of all write down one database name. So as of now, we will create one database. Now cursor dot execute. Now inside the execute, we are going to write down our query. Now which query? Create database, and you have to write down that database name. Now I'm writing the database name as a data council uh, 10, data council 10. Okay, remember that this is your database name. Now what we will do, we will write down this same query. No, if you will write down this same query, now it will show you error. Just you have to execute this cell once, because this will be created only once, and now it will fetch that error, this database is already available, right? So now what I will do, I will again check my available databases here. Okay, because we have did the connection of this with Python, but for the cross checking I want to check the database's name. Okay, now it is showing data council 10. It is showing data council 10. That means we are on the right path. Okay, now we have created our database, but now tell me what is remaining. Tables. So we have to create our tables. Now for the creation of tables, similarly we will write down query cursor dot execute. Okay, cursor dot execute. Now inside the execute, remember that inside the execute, inside the quotes, okay, we will write down query of create table. Now look at here how we are going to create our tables. So for the creation of tables, first of all, we are going to write down our database name. So tell me what is our database name? What is our database name? 1 or 10, right? Data council 10. So this is our database name. Okay, after this database name, we have to write down after dot whatever table name we have to write down. So tell me which table we have to write down now for the students, right? Students. Okay, now after the students, we have to define which types of columns we are going to create inside this students. Okay, inside students table. Now here similarly we are going to write down first of all whatever columns we want. So first of all I want the column of a student ID. Okay, okay, okay. SID, that means students ID. But remember that after this ID I have to define that which types of data I am going to use here, which types of data type. It is the integer, so that's why I will write down int. Remember that there is the little bit difference between your Python data types and SQL data types. Okay, now integer. After the integer, again I have to define that how much maximum integer I am going to use inside this column. So as of now, I will write down 10. Okay, now this one first column is completed. Now for the second column, I want to get their first name. First name. Okay, similarly after the first name, now tell me this is having which type of data type, right? That means integer in Python. Not integer, is string in Python, and varchar in a MySQL. Okay, now after this varchar we have to write down how much of length we are going to use, maximum length. So as of now I will take the maximum length of 30. Okay, Now you know what is the length function, right? That that so here maximum length will be available, how much? 30, right? That things we have to predefine, that all things we have to predefine, because this is the structured data. Okay, now after this varchar I need a last name. Okay, now last name will be similar to of uh, now this last name is completed. Now after this I need one or more data of their id register id. Now this will be having again integer of 10. Okay, now after this I need their class name, in which class they are learning. So I will write down class name, and again it will be having which types of data set. Okay, now after this I will write down as a 30, but remember that you will be also following all this process. Okay, you will be having this two parentheses completed, and then quotes, and then one more parenthesis. Now write down this query. Let me first of all execute. Yeah, it is executed. Hmm. But remember that this is your database name and this is your table name. Hmm. Completed. We have first of all student ID, first name, last name, register ID, and class name. Completed, Rajat? Write down carefully. Remember that first of all you have to create this code, and inside the code you have to write down all these things. Look at here what you are doing mistake. Dot is here. Students, this is your table name, and now inside the bracket we have our column name with its data type and length of that data. What error? What does not exist? Remember that this is my capital D, so you have to write down that. Now, if one is like that, you will be having the few columns, two closes. Now, if you say that, this one is first, this one is second, then I will implement. Implement. Okay. Now, as of now, inside our SQL, okay, inside our SQL, this much of databases available, right? This much of databases currently now available. So I have to write down the query. Which data set first of all I have to use, right? Which database I have to use. So as of now, I have to use my own database which is having data council 10. So simply for this, I will again write down cursor dot execute, and inside the execute, I will write down simple query that use this database. Use this, because there will be different types of databases available. It should know which one you have to use. So this I have to use. Now this is my database. Now tell me, inside this database, different types of tables. Tables are available. So which table I have to use? Again, I have to define that thing. So I will write down cursor dot execute, cursor dot execute. Now inside this execute, first of all, I have to check that which types of tables are here available. So tell me how much tables are available as of now. Show tables. Now I have to check if tables, cursor dot. Now students is available, right? So write down till here. You can write down your comments. Why we are using this? Use data council 10, show tables, because these are the basic questions. Okay, and we will continue remaining part on tomorrow. Now this is the very important process, because as a data analyst you should know how to fetch your data set inside your Python. Because let us say that after some time you got your data set, so you will save that data set in one variable, and you will start your procedure of analysis, whichever we learn now. Okay. I hope that you are doing the practice of your all classes. Okay, now file is uploaded. We will continue on tomorrow.